Now, Mr. Speaker, the minister states that it is not his nor the government's intention to restrict natural health product availability in Canada. And I am sure that I have every reason to believe that he's very sincere in making those statements, and I have no reason not to believe him or the government in their intentions. Problem is, Mr. Speaker, that given the history of actions by Health Canada over the past several years, the increased powers and the changes proposed by Bill C51 give Canadians, inform Canadians, a very great cause for concern. And in that regard, I would like to review some of the history and illustrate a couple of the concerns related to the bill as it stands. Now, going back over at least 4 previous health ministers was an effort to regulate natural health products as drugs under the Food and Drugs Act. By the way, I think everybody recognized that there was a need to bring in regulations for natural health products. Everybody wants to make sure that we have good manufacturing practices, that actually we need office inspections and some quality control items there. And we certainly want to make sure that what's on the label is actually in the bottle. So certainly regulation is necessary. Everybody's in support of regulation. It's the type of regulation that's being considered here, and the concerns about whether those regulations are appropriate for the low risk and the natural character of these products. By nature, they are low risk, they're low cost, they're non-patentable items, they're more akin to foods, concentrated food items, vitamins, minerals, amino acids, which are components of protein, and that's the stuff we're made out of. And therefore, by nature, it's low risk and well tolerated in biological systems. So I would just note this, that going back a little bit of the history, there came a huge public response out of the attempt by former Minister David Dingwall to regulate natural health products as drugs. It was followed up by Alan Rock. Alan Rock, as minister, put the brakes on the process and commissioned the Health Committee to investigate and produce a report. There were widespread consultation, and a report was tabled in 1998, making some 53 recommendations. That was followed by the creation of a transition team of experts. Some 17 experts came together to try and organize how would this new Office of Natural Health Products come together and what form it would take, and they made recommendations that were published in a report in the year 2000. And I note that the transition team, in their book, they had a vision that they articulated there. They hoped that the minister would be a champion for a new era for NHPs, for natural health products. Vitamins and minerals would take their place in improving the health of Canadians and the healthcare system in Canada, that the minister would be a champion for helping natural health products find their way to taking their rightful place in strengthening Canadians, improving prevention of disease, and promoting wellness, and helping keep people off the waiting lists that are so troubling to anyone trying to access health services for serious health failures. The 37th Parliament, I introduced a bill called Bill C-51, which was to move the Natural Health Products Developing Office, which changed names from the Office of the ONHP to the Natural Health Product Directorate, to move that under the food style of regulations. So we had food and drugs, to take it from the drug side and move it under the food side because it's more akin to foods than they are to drugs. That bill died when the election of June 2004 was called, and it was reincarnated, if I can use that word, or reappeared in the 38th Parliament with my colleague, help my colleague from Oshawa, the member from Oshawa, who tabled the bill, and we got agreement to keep the name C-420, the number, and so both of our names were attached to that bill. And the outcome of that was that NHPs were plunked as not where we wanted them under food, but they remained as a subclass under the drug side of the regulations. So where are we at since that day? Currently, natural health products are regulated as a subclass of drugs for regulatory purposes, although they have their own regulations. And that's been the status since 2006. When we started this process, there were some 50 to 60,000 products on the market. And what's been happening in the interim is that there are about 6,000 products that have been approved. I noticed the member from Yukon, who's still with us in the debate, in his speech earlier mentioned that there's some 33 to 40,000 products backlogged, and that's probably accurate. There's about 6,000 that have been through the approval process. of that huge number that were out there a few years ago. But what's happening is that about half of the products applying are not making it through the regulatory process. A lot of good products are dropping off the shelves in Canada under the current regulatory regime. And these are the simple ones. They're single monograph products. They're not the combined products that many of the more effective, well-known and popular remedies that are out there are multi-ingredient products. Most of those haven't even started into the process yet. So a lot of products are not making it through, and then complicating it further is the fact that many good products that come from outside the country, from the United States, for example, many of those products are not being shipped into Canada because the producers find the regulatory regime is too onerous, and the market is too small. They just have stopped shipping their product to Canada, so we're losing products that way. So that's the current situation. Now, people in the industry are frustrated at the lengthy delays in receiving an NPN and lengthy requests for more info. It seems products like Red Bull or an energy drink gets an NPN fairly readily. They'll never have a hope of impacting anybody's health, but they might give you a kick or a little better high or keep you awake if you mix it, as some young people do, with alcohol, which we wouldn't recommend. So you end up with a drunk who's a little more alert. But those products seem to make it through the regulatory process in a flash, but natural health products that could have a real impact on serious sickness seem to be having a hard time getting through. Now, I just want to return to the experience. Yes, this letter that I mentioned earlier here from the scientists. Speaking at that conference just a month ago, so we're not talking ancient history, just a month ago, with these scientists was Dr. Bonnie Kaplan from the University of Calgary, speaking about her experience with the product Empowerplus. And I know there's others in the House who have mentioned this product already. And probably most members have some experience with this vitamin and mineral product produced in Alberta that was having a profound impact on people. Excuse me, just one second here for the page. Could you help me with that, please? Thank you. This product called Empowerplus that was having a profound impact on people with bipolar disease. And this product attracted some attention in Alberta. People began, the government of Alberta said, whoa, there's a huge problem. A lot of people seem to be taking this. They had the Alberta Science and Research Authority examine the product, and they commissioned a study at the University of Calgary, some $544,000 in funding. The initial results were very promising. And in fact, there were some 4 peer-reviewed articles published, and about this time, Health Canada moved to shut down the study under the regulations of the day. And they called in the RCMP to raid the company and contact 3,000 Canadians, order them back on their psychiatric drugs, even though many of them were taking the product with the knowledge of their physician. And many of them had been well for years, taking simply vitamins and minerals. So I want to just use that as an illustration of why people are alarmed at the regulations in Bill C51. It's not simply what's in the bill, it's the behavior of the department in the last number of years that has people alarmed. And given the tools that are in C51, it is concerns that with the wrong attitude, this could ensure that a lot of very good products will never see the light of day in our country, given this response. So I mentioned this about thousands of Canadians were taking the product, the Alberta response, the early results, Health Canada shut down the study, they sent in the RCMP. There was a researcher from Harvard, just to go on with Empowerplus for a minute, his name is Dr. Charles Popper. He's a world-renowned neuropsychopharmacologist. And his story was quite interesting. He testified in the court case just after the last election. I was there a day before. Unfortunately missed it, but I did read his testimony. And here's a man who says in his testimony that he learned how to help people get off drugs from the lay people in this company who have accumulated a lot of experience trying to help people with their condition, taking these vitamins and minerals and amino acids and improving their mental health.